Hey, everybody, it's Ron Johnson, and this is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Hey, it's a loaded show. You know why? Vikings schedule release. Vikings preseason games named. So there's some big names coming to Minnesota. You guys not going to want to miss that one. Also, and a lot of former Minnesotans. There's two of them coming back to Minnesota. Texans, Patriots. We'll talk about that. But also Timberwolves, OKC. You got the up-and-coming great, the Michael Jordan of the NBA right now, and you got the free throw merchant, as they call him. We'll talk about all that and much more coming up next on the Ron Johnson Show.
Locked On Sports Minnesota podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. Now the Ron Johnson Show. On the field, in the broadcast booth, Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. He's played with them, hung out with them, and grown up with all the big names in Minnesota sports. They're hanging out with Ron Johnson. It's the Ron Johnson Show on the Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. And it starts now.
Hey, everybody, it's the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcast Network. I'm coming to you live from rainy Minnesota. If it's raining where you're at, you're right with us in the misery of the rain in Minnesota. This is the spring sports season. I saw Twins got rained out. I see softball getting rained out for high school kids, baseball getting rained out. It sucks, people. Track meets, they must go on. Soccer, I think they still play in this crap too. But baseball and softball, they're a little bit smarter than that. They're like, oh, we're not going to get sick in this. So for all the Twins fans out there, you're going to have to, I guess, suffer through this. If you're somewhere nice and sunny, Florida, I don't know, Texas, enjoy it. But we appreciate you for joining us. But I want everybody to know before we jump into the show, before I bring my co-host to the show, Sam Ekstrom, my producer, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, FanDuel customers get 250 people. It was 150. It was 200. It's $250 in bonus bets. I've told you guys numerous times. I can't wait to go to Iowa this weekend. That's the best part of going to Iowa this weekend is I get to bet on basketball. I get to put some money on the Timberwolves. So people tweet me, tell me where I should put my money because I still got bonus bet money in my account with FanDuel. I got to make some bonus bets. I'm going to bet on some softball too, people. I'm a big softball guy. So the NCAA super regionals have started, the best of three. You got Florida State and Texas Tech. For those that don't understand, Texas Tech has $1 million NIL pitcher. Florida State has one of the best catchers in college softball. It is about to be on fire. And then I think you got Florida Clemson on the other side. But this Texas Tech, I mean, when you pay somebody $1 million to come pitch, check that out. But I gotta go to FanDuel for this one as well. But I'm definitely going to put some money down on the Timberwolves. I think the Timberwolves are going to pull this off. I'm not going to tell you what. We'll talk about that later. But $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Well, as I bring my producer to the show, Sam Ekstrom. Sam, it's been a whirlwind of sports in Minnesota. You know, the 6th seed, we talked about this, all the seeds. One was kind of locked. 2 was a little safe, but not completely safe. But 3 through 8, I think it was like one game between each other. And 8 could jump to 3 if they had won like 2 games and 3 had lost 2 games. It was nuts how close it was. And that's what it showed in the actual games. These games were closer than people thought they were going to be. There was no true blowouts. I mean, games blow up, but like no true, like you just dominate. Now, the one domination factor, Lakers, Wolves. Wolves in 5. Lakers fully healthy. Now, we do know LeBron got hurt at the very end, but that didn't matter. He wasn't going to be. There was no game 6 coming. Let's be real, people. Shannon Sharp did all his pandering and Lakers in 5, and you saw it all over Twitter. Anthony Edwards saw it. That's why I love Anthony Edwards, because he's not afraid to talk about the big moments like that. But getting that out the way, Lakers in 5. What did they beat the Warriors? Was that Warriors in 5 too?
5.
So 5. $5 foot longs. I mean, they are just knocking everybody out in 5. And so when you think about just 5 for 5 on anybody's menu, I don't care who it is. Perkins, you can go to Applebee. I don't know what the 5 for 5 appetizer is, but the Timberwolves have the secret. And the biggest thing, and I said this, Sam, I said this weeks and weeks ago on our show. I said it first. I said, I don't care what it is. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's showbiz. Nobody can handle number 5. Anthony Edwards is one of the most unguardable players in the NBA. It is so bad that teams are playing a zone. Grown men, I get mad about pickup basketball guys playing the zone. You got grown men making 30, 40, 20, 10, $50 million. And they're like, I can't guard this guy one-on-one. I can't. Coach, you got to help me out. Like Kevin Hart said in his grown man stand-up, help me. Like literally, every player's looking around like, help me, coach, help me, give me something. And so they're playing a zone, they're playing a blitz defense to get the ball out of his hands quick. That's what Anthony Edwards does. Literally, that's what Anthony Edwards does. Like in the 80s with Michael Jordan, 90s even, because 80s Jordan won to win it. Let's be real. Like people try to give Jordan all the credit. That was the Pistons. Pistons and Celtics were the 80s. They were the 88, 89 back-to-back champs. You got the Celtics in there. Bulls didn't start winning until I think like 92, 93, 94, and then like 96, 97, 98, or 95, 96, 97. So that Jordan had the 90s. He didn't have the 80s. But if you think about the 90s, when Jordan was giving people, nobody was thinking about running a zone. I don't even think it was legal back then. Matter of fact, I think that's new. That's new in the NBA. Like, but nobody was even thinking about double. You could double. You couldn't play zones, but you could double. Nobody was thinking about doubling Jordan and getting the ball out of his hands quick. Why? Because he wasn't a deep shooter. Like Jordan wasn't going to knock it down from 35 feet. He wasn't going to knock it down from the logo off one step dribble. He wasn't going to come across half court, walk into a step, get a pass, and just knock a three down and then give you the Spider-Man. I don't know what that's, but the barbecue chicken. I don't know what they're doing. But Anthony Edwards is a different beast. That man got better in the offseason. He said he worked on his three. He wanted to be a complete player. He wanted to be an all-around player. Defensively, he doesn't get himself in trouble by talking so much that he has to go guard somebody that's going to tire him out. He learned his lesson from Dallas last year. With OKC, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is not his problem. That's not his problem. That's his cousin. No is going to have to deal with that. That's Alexander Walker. Like that's Nikhil is going to have to handle that. Mike Conley's going to have to handle that. Dante DiVincenzo, the bully, is going to have to handle that. Anthony Edwards gets to relax. He gets to stand around a little bit. He gets to help out. And so that's what's good. And we know, like I've seen all the highlights of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander getting barely touched. And for those, if you didn't download, if you're not watching on YouTube, you don't know the faces I just made, but just Google Shai Gilgeous-Alexander free throw merchant. And it's a ton of them. And he does, hey! Like he flails and Anthony Edwards is barely touching him. And of course, the refs see the head go back. They see the flop and foul, 2 shots. I hope that Chris Finch has talked to the refs about this to say, hey, if he flops, he needs to be fined and then that foul needs to be taken away. And so I hope that the refs are prepared for some of these challenges because we know the minute he feels you touch him as he's driving, he's going to throw his head back, even though he knows he's clear because he knows once he does that, you have to back away because the refs might not call that first one, but now you can't stay connected to him because they're going to call it if you keep touching him. And so they have to let this be a physical game. This is the Western Conference Finals. This has to be a physical game. And so looking at game one preview, Sam, I think the team one that can out physical the other and get away with it, because that's the key, getting away with it. If they call fouls early, like if Julius Randle has 3 or 4 early, if Jaden McDaniels, because I know he can go on Shai Gilgeous every once in a while because he's a defensive, a 6'9", he can guard everybody. He's going to be doing it. If Anthony Edwards somehow gets in some stupid foul trouble because he's getting a bunch of ticky-tack calls on Shai, that's the problem. And if you watch the way OKC, they do this with Chet. Chet can't really guard a big, but I think Chet and Rudy, like and Chet won't. I don't think Chet is going to deal with Julius Randle. I think they would even put what's his name with the ball head and the headband,
Caruso.
They would rather Caruso deal with Julius Randle in the post than Chet because Chet's just too light in the butt, and you can just bang him back, and he's going to foul you, or you can dunk on him. So I think they're going to find some kind of matchup to make sure Chet is always just on, because Rudy's not a bully. Like if you watch what's his name, Jokic, he was killing Chet, and just he's stronger. Rudy's not that guy, but I hope Rudy realizes like that guy's not strong and just go at him. And hopefully the Timberwolves allow Rudy to go at Chet and put Chet in foul trouble, or just Chet's going to just give it up because he doesn't stop you. But Sam, when I'm looking at this matchup, that's where I see who is Chet going to guard And how are we going to defend Chet? And then with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, how do we deal with that matchup? I don't know. What do you see in this one?
Yeah, so I went to the Thunder Wolves game back in, I think, February at Target Center, and they used a lot of different guys on Shai. I mean, I think it's a team effort, kind of like with Luka. They used Ant on Luka. They used McDaniels on Luka. They had, Nas occasionally. They had DiVincenzo would give it a try. I think it's a team effort. And you know who else they used in that February game? Jalen Clark. Jalen Clark as the defensive specialist off the bench was really good on Shai in that game. He's so quick laterally. I could see them throwing out Jalen Clark for about 5 minutes a game just to be locked down on Shai. And if you make other people beat you on the Thunder, their offense, Ron, has not been super cohesive in these playoffs. They have a lot of role players. They don't have a defined hierarchy. They don't have a clear number two. They don't have a Julius Randle who's going to step up and say, all right, my turn. I'm going to take this game over. I mean, obviously, J-Dub can light it up. Lou Dort can shoot the three. Chet can get hot. I don't think any of them are a defined number two. So if you can lock down Shai, make other people beat you, I like your chances.
Yeah, and when you look at, you look at the way this team is built for the 24-25 season, and you go with, and what did I do with my glasses? Did I leave them out there? I had to get my glasses after the break so I can read a little bit better on my screen. And sorry for the squinting for those at home. Like I normally wear glasses to read. Now I'm that age. I'm of the age where I need to have my glasses to read far away screens. Sorry. But when you look at the way that this roster is built, you hit the nail on the head. There's not really a Batman. Even when I watch them, I don't feel like there's a Batman. I feel like it's kind of like, hey, here's the team, here's the situation, here's what we're gonna do. And then what's next? Well, Shai, you're next. Like somebody might be open, but Shai, you're next. And so when you go, when you go to their stats, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander by far, points wise, is just so far away from everybody else. The Timberwolves, like you said, they kind of have a chorus of scores. It's a symphony of scores. This is like Tina Turner or Whitney Houston and the backups, like Aretha Franklin. Like this is just one person. This is Usher. They have one singer. That's it. Like this is not the 5 Heartbeats where it's multiple guys or whatever or New Edition. This is Bobby Brown and he's by himself and he's making it work. This is Michael Jackson, not the Jackson 5. Like the Timberwolves are more like the Jackson 5. They got multiples. They got a star in Michael Jackson, but he got brothers. This is just Michael Jackson left his brothers behind. 29 points a game for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You look at Jalen Williams. He's right behind him. And when I say right behind him, 20. Like 19.6. There's a 10-point difference between Shai and the next closest guy. And then you go from there. You got Chet at 50. Oh, I can make my screen bigger. I forgot about that with the iPad. You got Chet at 15.7. You got Isaiah Hartenstein at 10. You got Alex Caruso at 9. Like you said, you got Dort at 8. You got Aaron Wiggins at 7. And then from there, it's just a bunch of role players. And you got Dylan Jones as a forward that comes in every once in a while. Like if you make Shai give the ball up, is Jalen Williams going to beat you? I say no. Is Chet Holmgren going to beat you? He used to be able to. I thought Chet Holmgren was a takeover guy. It feels like he's just always going to be a second fiddle, third fiddle guy. Like he's just a good team player, 7 feet tall. Hartenstein, same thing. Is he going to take over a game? Probably not. Is Alex Caruso going to take over the game? Without LeBron, no. I think LeBron empowers some of these guards to feel like they could take over games because Alex Caruso hasn't been the same superstar as he was with the Lakers. Like the Lakers made him a superstar. He went to the Bulls. Now he's with the OKC Thunder. Great role player, great shooting guard on the team. Additional player that does a lot. Glue guy, as they call him. He's a glue guy. He'll play wherever.
Guy.
Yeah, he's a
menace on defense. Yeah,
he'll play wherever on defense. He'll shut down whoever. He'll be like that's what he did with LeBron. He was a dirty, nasty, like get down on the ground guy. You need those guys. That's where you got DiVincenzo. I'm looking forward to seeing DiVincenzo and Alex Caruso lock horns. Like that to me feels like a powder keg waiting for somebody to light the fuse. Like because Alex Caruso is going to be a nuisance, and DiVincenzo doesn't back down from that stupid stuff. Like if you're underneath him trying to box him out, if you're pushing him, like he's willing to do that. And Anthony Edwards hitting LeBron in the chest coming down the court. I'm not saying he's going to do that to Shai Alexander, but I'm not saying he's not. I'm not like he knows that got under LeBron's skin. And I think he's going to want to do that with one of these guys. Get under and who's the best person to get under their skin? Shai, or you can beat up Chet. And maybe he'll do that to Chet just to do something stupid. But I know it's going to be who's going to out physical who's going to be the bully in this. It's tough to pick, but I think the Wolves can win this in 6. If I'm going early predictions, I think the Wolves can win this in 6. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you think this goes to 7 or do you think it's another 5?
I feel like it's a 7-game series, and I do like the Wolves. The Thunder just went to 7, so the Wolves have the clear rest advantage.
Mm-hmm.
The Thunder showed some susceptibility late in games, not closing games out. That's been a strength of the Wolves all through these playoffs, is closing games. And I think when push comes to shove, I think I like Ant right now in the fourth quarter over Shai.
Yeah.
This is such a good matchup because their depth on both sides is excellent. The defense on both sides is excellent. All 7 games are going to be a war. Now the Thunder have a tendency, Ron, to destroy teams. Like I think they've got a 50-point win over Memphis in these playoffs. They have a 40-point win over Denver. They won Game 7 by 30. Like they can blow you out. I don't think the Wolves are going to let that happen to them. I think the Wolves are going to make them work every single game. I don't think there will be any cakewalk wins for the Thunder in this series. And I think over the course of a long series, I think Minnesota can wear them down. I like the Timberwolves a lot. Especially if they can get game 1 or 2 and get home court back.
Yeah, and that's the key to this too. Like when you look at the postseason stats, like you brought up, and that's the biggest thing I'm looking at. The postseason stats for them is the key. Shai has been the clear cut guy in the playoffs. Like he is their guy. He's the guy that's going to go. He's the guy that's going to make the team, do what they do. When you look at what was the game you said the 40-point? Was it Thunder versus who was that one?
Yeah, I think they beat the Nuggets in game 2 by about 40 of that series, and then they beat them by 30-something in game 7 as well.
I mean, they beat them bad for most of it. I'm just going to the actual game. So yeah, May 5th, the Nuggets won by 2, and then they beat them 106-149 in the next game. Like that's an absolute mud stomping. And so when you think about 106-149, like you say, you're right. You just take their heart away. But here's the key in that, Sam. Everybody else, 10 points, 14 points, 12 points, 17 points. Highest scores. Shai by far, 34 points. You take away 34 because he scores 30 a game. But if you can keep him in the 20s, in that same situation, it's 106-124. So if you keep him down in the 20s and you don't let him get off and you force somebody else to do this, again, you're looking at 106-124. Not to say it's still not losing, but it's not as big of a blowout. And you probably have the game a little closer as you're going. And I think that's going to be the key for the Timberwolves is how do we keep them close? You look at the box score in this. It got away from him in the first quarter. It was 21-45 in the first quarter. And after that, it just like they just had to play, keep away. 21-45. Like that's heartbreaking to a team to be down 24 points to start a game. And I think that's the key. That's the 24 points I keep talking about. That's the 24 points you have to take away from Shai, or not 24, but at least 14 of that, take it away from him. Like, don't allow him to get loose. When the game starts feeling like it's going to come down to Chris Finch before we get out of here, and we're going to get to a little football. It's going to come down to Chris Finch. Make sure you're using your time. Don't think that your guys can get out of a hole. The minute you feel the game going like 7-point lead, maybe 8-point lead, timeout. Like, don't let it get to double digits. Don't let it get to 10. Regroup, get in. And if it's a big controversial call, a dunk that's a charge instead of letting Anthony Edwards get off, the flop, to give somebody the third foul in the first quarter. You got to bang a tee. You got to get them out. You got to call a timeout, calm them down, let them know here's what we've seen with this team and here's how we can beat them. What's the season record Timberwolves OKC?
2-2. Timberwolves had the epic 25-point comeback win in overtime, and they crushed them in the game I went to at Target Center. And the two losses were, one of them was tight at Target Center, tight loss, and a pretty tight loss in OKC as well. So they played 3 really close games, and the Timberwolves won probably the one blowout of the 4.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest thing is like it's kind of even. Like it's kind of even when you think about just knowing each other, ability to beat each other. Both have a superstar in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Anthony Edwards. I'd say Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle kind of give you what Chet Holmgren gives you. You know, you get the rebounds, you get the scoring. So you get the rebounds from Rudy, you get the scoring from Julius Randle every once in a while. If Rudy feels like there's a mismatch, that's the thing. If they can get Chet Holmgren maybe in a little foul trouble too, I think that changes it up. But the good thing about Chet also, Naz Reid can go at Chet. Like Naz Reid is a big, tall, 6'11" guy that's stronger than Chet, plays the wing. Like Rudy on the wing is what maybe scares people a little bit. Rudy's not a wing defender. This might be a Rudy not playing a ton series, to be honest, in my opinion. I would rather see Naz Reid on the floor more than Rudy just because of the Chet Holmgren on the wing. And maybe you switch off. You say, okay, you're going to go Chet, Naz, and then Rudy goes to the power forward. You know, you got to – because Chet's not Jokic. He's not playing in the post. He wants to be at the elbow. He wants to be at the three-point line, 2-3 dribbles, pull up, shoot a jumper, pick and roll, pick and pop. Like that's where Chet plays his game. He's not a bruiser. He's not a 7-foot. Like if you were to look at the stats roster-wise and say, oh, they got a 7-footer, you would think Bill Cartwright. No, this is Bill Cartwright. If Bill Cartwright could shoot. Like Chet Holmgren actually shoots. He plays outside. He likes to dribble and create, And so that's why I don't know if Rudy, like I said, he's not quick though. He's not a guy that's going to get around Rudy like Luka. But I think Naz Reid is better suited to deal with that. But also you don't want to get in foul trouble. But I shortened. So softball practice today was supposed to be an hour and 30 minutes. I shortened it to an hour and 15. I'm pretty sure the parents, or at least the dads, know because I said practice is going to be done today at 7:15, not 7:30. Because hey, the game comes on at 7:30 tonight. I want to be home for the game. I'm also looking forward to Thursday, man. If you guys are into softball, check out ESPN. Check out all the apps that are going to stream it as well. But you're going to have the first 2 games of the Super Regional start Thursday. You got Texas Tech. You also have Florida State, and I think it's Clemson, Florida. But it's going to be good. It's best of 3. These girls are really good players. And if you like fast-paced, good ball, check it out. But, I'm 7:30 tonight. Timberwolves, OKC Thunder. Coming up next, man, we got to talk about this. So I was over at the Vikings facility, and I got a chance to talk to some coaches, some players. I got to see them react to the schedule release. That was the funnest part, watching the players. Because as a media guy, I'm more so planning out my Christmas now because we know it's 3:30. So I got to figure out, like, do my kids open gifts at 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m.? Do I just wait to 7 to 9, or technically 9 o'clock, I guess, after the postcast and the fan line? Christmas fan line is going to be so depressing, or it might be fun because people are going to be really drunk. But, I got to wait till after that and then after the postcast. Then, but like my kids are going to be pissed off. Dad, I'm not opening gifts at 9 p.m., 10 p.m. So I got to figure this out, how we do the gifts. But watching the players react, watching the coaches react, that was fun. And I got to actually talk to Keenan McCardell about the schedule. So we'll talk about all that much more coming up next on the Ron Johnson Show after word from our sponsors.
Let me tell you a little bit more about FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Locked On NBA playoffs into their Final Four. Starting tonight, highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, can't-miss moments in these conference finals. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with their live wagering options. You've got all the player props that are available, and they really load you up with options in the postseason. Performance trends and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways to play smart and win big than ever before. Timberwolves, big underdogs in this series. You probably want to get on that line now before they win game 1, because then that's going to change radically. Get about 3-1 odds right now, Wolves against the Thunder. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. Bet 5, get $200. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Well, now it's time to talk a little football, but it's crazy. I'm still looking at, I always joke about how a lot of the national media people don't like to cover the Timberwolves. Of course, now they're happy the Knicks are in this because now they get to talk about the East Coast team and the Knicks and the big market and Cat. And what's the level of panic if the Knicks lose game one? Why does there have to be a level of panic? It's the Pacers Knicks. Like it wasn't even supposed to be them. It's supposed to be the Celtics and the Cavs. And now you're talking about level of panic if they lose game one. Like, what about if the Timberwolves win? The Timberwolves could win it all. And I don't think they're gonna be happy. If the Timberwolves win it all, it's going to be, should LeBron retire? That's going to be the conversation. Did Anthony Edwards make LeBron retire?
Day after the season, should LeBron retire?
Should LeBron retire?
Is Luka going to get in shape?
Correct. Is Steph Curry going to retire? He's old. Like, it's going to be all about the West Coast retirement.
Is Giannis going to the Warriors?
Exactly. Yeah. Or I think the San Antonio Spurs, but I don't know if that works. I don't know if Giannis and what's the other guy? The Frenchman. Wemby. I don't know if they could coexist on the same offense because they're similar players. Because that was the other thing, since they have the number one pick. Not number one pick, number two pick. I think they have them two because Dallas has number one, but number two pick. Would that work to do that? Because like Cooper Flag is going one. What's at two? And that's the question: is two worth keeping it, or is it worth getting Giannis? And I think that's the question here. And would the Bucks even want to do it? Or is this just a money ploy to get the Bucks to go get somebody, go get a superstar? Does Steph Curry go to the Bucks? No, it's not going to happen. But time to talk about the Vikings, man. And so looking at the top stories from OTAs, all the rookies are in town. My first one, Sam, I got to see Kobe King up close and personal. He's built like a brick house. Like he's built like what you think a middle linebacker should be built like. He's built bigger, in my opinion, like shoulders, neck, and everything. Like he reminds me of like Ray Lewis and Bart Scott, kind of, like just getting like looks like a linebacker. I saw him next to Blake Cashman, bigger. Like he's just a bigger version of that. So like a real bruiser, real guy's going to hit the fullback, willing to take on the lead block, willing to keep Ivan Pace clean if he's scraping and Ivan Pace has to come over the top. That's my first one. Like looking at him, I was talking to him, which was kind of a cool moment. I was talking to him, and as I'm talking to him, Kevin O'Connell walks by with the coaches. And of course, I got to talk up my guy from Detroit. I'm like, yeah, y'all know he's from, Detroit, man, where I'm from, same high school area. They're like, oh, yeah, man. And so Keenan McCardell stops. And I'm like, yeah, man, these Detroit guys, man, they're built different, man. And he reminds me of Bart Scott. Keenan McCardell's like, yeah, he's going to be a player for us. And Kevin O'Connell said the same thing. So it was kind of cool to see that, to see, because I know I promised his mom I would make sure I did that. And then actually, God put that situation in front of both of us for it to just kind of happen that way. Not planned. Like it wasn't planned for that. I was just standing in the hallway getting, finishing up our show. We did the schedule release. I text Kobe like, yo, man, I'm in the hallway. If you want to come chat it up real quick. Got a chance to meet him. And then they literally, as we're meeting, coaches are walking by because they're getting ready. I don't know what they were about to do. Go watch film or something. But then the second thing, man, was I got to show the schedule and talk to his schedule with Keenan McCardell. Because I told him, I was like, yeah, we were shooting the schedule because I had a suit on. So Kwesi and all the coaches were making jokes. Brian Flores, like, oh, you got the suit on, so you must be doing something important today. And so, I got to talk to them about that. And he was like, what we got first? So I was like, look, man, here you go. It's like Bears. You got Bears on Monday Night Football. He's like, what? He's like, prime time. And then back-to-back primetime games. He was like, whoa. I was like, yeah, man. I was like, it's a youth movement of quarterback. Like it felt like a real youth movement to get these young quarterback, Caleb Williams, JJ McCarthy, Penix with the Falcons. Like it felt like a real, Herbert with the Chargers. Like it felt like a youth movement to get these younger quarterbacks now in the vision of America because Aaron Rodgers is done pretty much. You know what I mean? Like he might have a chance. Russell Wilson is pretty much done. Like he's going to do his thing with the Giants for a year, but I think it's going to be Dart. I think it's going to be his show. But I think Russell Wilson is going to have the show maybe this year, and then it's going to turn it over to Jackson Dart. I think they're really trying to get this young quarterback like rivalry started even with the Bears and the Vikings with Caleb Williams and JJ McCarthy and because JJ McCarthy didn't play last year. So he quote unquote, if he were in this draft, he would have been the first taken quarterback. Potentially, I don't know where he would have stood against Cam Ward. I still think Cam Ward probably would have been ahead of him because JJ McCarthy didn't throw the ball a ton at Michigan anyway. It was a running team. They did, win, but this was the year they ended up losing and not making it to the national championship. So JJ McCarthy left at the best time possible on the highest mountain. But that was kind of what I've seen from OTAs. The other one is Felton, the receiver Tay Felton. when you look at that receiver room, I think him and Rondale Moore are neck and neck for that wide receiver 4. I think Tate Felton probably edges Rondale Moore. 1, healthy. 2, draft pick in the 3rd round. And 3, younger. And so I think that edges just like when you draft a guy in the 3rd round, because what was Naylor drafted in? Was that
6th round, I think. Yep.
So when you think about a 6th round Naylor, and here's where it's going to get spicy. We know what Naylor's done, but has he done it in the game? You know what I mean? Like, has he done enough? He's done a ton in preseason to make us be like Jalen Naylor's 3rd guy. But has he done enough in the game to make us think that? You know what I mean? Like, can we put game film on and say Jalen Naylor, wide receiver 3? I think Felton has a chance to maybe get into that 3 spot. Like, I think he's kind of sitting in that 4 spot, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's running with the ones when they go 3 wides every once in a while. And it's him, Addison, and Jefferson. Also, we don't know what's going to happen to Addison this year. So it could be a 3-game suspension. Could be nothing. Because if it was just prescription pills maybe or something, or, something like that, like maybe it just goes a slap on the wrist. But if Naylor's out a game or 2, then you're looking at Felton, Naylor, and Justin Jefferson. Not going to get the same production because Jordan Addison's really, really good. But I can see Felton being in that Justin Jefferson, Addison, Felton group with the 3 wides. I don't know. What have you seen so far with OTAs?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to the secondary rotations to see what they're deploying there. I think the one guy that is kind of a mystery to all of us is Theo Jackson. You lose Cam Bynum, who's a mainstay in that secondary. Theo Jackson seems like he's the next in line.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Josh Metellus is certainly on the field a ton, but I don't think he plays the same position as Cam Bynum. So
correct.
Theo Jackson is probably going to be a starter next to Harrison Smith. How is he going to be used? And then at corner, I'm watching the depth because I don't know how much they're going to use Byron Murphy in OTAs. He's just so valuable. I think they might kind of lean on their depth to fill those reps a little more.
Right.
I don't know if Mekhi Blackman is healthy. So you might see a lot of Jeff Okudah. You might see a lot of Dwight McGlothern.
Mm-hmm.
You got a UDFA, Zamiah Vaughn. You've got depth pieces that need to prove themselves at cornerback. And I think it'll play out in OTAs, probably deep into training camp to figure out who your 3rd starter is going to be there. So that's where I'm watching, and I'm watching safety. I'm watching corner because I think there are spots of intrigue in that secondary right now.
And the other cool thing about it, too, is, that's the first thing I asked Keenan McCardell about all the receivers being in the building. Like, the fact that Justin Jefferson is here, you know what I mean? Like, OTAs, a lot of times you don't get the star receivers there because they got their own guys. They're out in Miami or they're out in Vegas or whatever. But I feel like J.J. McCarthy made it a, like, not precedent, but he's setting the tone to say, hey, man, let's all be here together. Like, we need to learn together. This is my first-year quarterback. Like, I need to get to know you guys. You need to get to know me. Like, we knew each other from a year, but I didn't throw to you guys during the season. I was hurt. I was standing around on crutches. I was on a boot. I was in the training room. I didn't get to throw on the field. And so I think that's the key for this, too, that's kind of like something that's not being publicized a lot, is the fact that Justin Jefferson is in town. Like, you don't get that from your star. Now, we know he went to the Met Gala and he's doing all the stuff. He's going to be probably at the, he was him and J.J. McCarthy was at the Timberwolves game. And maybe that's a big part of it, too. The Timberwolves are still in the playoffs. So it's like, why would we go anywhere? They're here. Like, let's stay here and watch some games. I don't know if he's going to go out to OKC. I don't think they will. But they for sure will be in the building for the Western Conference Finals. Like, I remember, I think it was Lakers Timberwolves 2003 or 4, right? What year was that? The Lakers Timberwolves.
The Western Finals would have been 04.
Yep. So I remember 04. I was able to go to those games. My agent, he was with Octagon Sports. I was with the Ravens at the time, and I remember when they made it. At first, I hit him up. I was like, "Yo, you gotta, like, how can I get tickets to this Vikings? I'm a former Gopher, man. Hook me up. Like, find somebody to get me a ticket, sell me a ticket. I'll buy them. Like, I was like, I don't need them for free, but give me some good seats." And so I got to take my girlfriend, now my wife. Me and her went to, I think 2 of those games because did they get swept?
No, they lost in 6.
Okay. So I think we only went to like 2. I have to go back and look at pictures, but we went to 2 of those games. And I remember that because I remember it was Lakers, Timberwolves, Western Conference Finals. And I was like, and I wasn't a big basketball guy as far as going to games. I'm still not like, oh, I got to go to the games. Like I'd rather watch it on TV, but I knew her being a Minnesotan. Was that the first time they had been in the Western Conference Finals?
It was the first time they'd ever won a playoff series.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know it was a big deal for her being a Minnesotan. She was still living here. And so I was like, yeah, let me fly back from Baltimore. Got with my, because I think we were in OTAs as well at the time, probably. And so I flew back, went to 2 of the games, and then went back to Baltimore for practice. But I remember it just worked out that I could get away, come to the 2 games, and then get back to Baltimore for workouts. But yeah, it's one of those things where JJ is here, and the fact that JJ, Justin Jefferson, is here, it speaks to the leadership level of this team. Like Justin Jefferson is taking an active role as one of the captains, the leaders of the offense. Because now, when you think about the offense, you have Sam Darnold, but he was a one and done. You got JJ McCarthy, who's young, so he's going to try to be a leader. But Chris Carter was a true leader of the Minnesota Vikings when Randy Moss was here. Like Moss was a star, but Carter was the leader. Like Carter, if you talk to Chris Carter, and we've talked to him before, and I'm gonna have to hit him up to get him on the show to talk about this. Like this stage of Justin Jefferson was kind of Chris Carter. You got younger receivers, you got a young quarterback. Because you think about Dante Culpepper, you think about what's his name, the one and done for them that came in, Randall Cunningham.
Mm-hmm.
You think about some of those, one and dones or in and outs that Chris Carter dealt with. You got older offensive linemen, but you got some young ones too. You had a young core guys. You did have Robert Smith at running back, but Chris Carter was he was the leader. He was the guy. He was the spiritual leader. He was a vocal leader. And I think, Justin Jefferson now, it's time to take that throne. And I think that's the first key, is being here for all the workouts, like not being a distraction where people are like, oh, Justin Jefferson didn't show up. Justin Jefferson's not here. He's down in Louisiana working out with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. And then that creates a whole new wave of stuff like, oh, does Justin Jefferson want to get traded to the Bengals? We can put all that to rest. He's got his 5-year deal. Jamar Chase has his deal. Joe Burrow has his deal. Let's go play some football. The other thing, though, too, Sam, that I brought up, and I asked CJ Ham this question, because the story about, was it Laurie or whatever, brought up the fullback is back or something like that. Was it the Falcons owner or GM or something? Who was that?
I didn't see that.
Jeff Laurie. It was a Laurie. I knew it was. Eagles owner Jeffrey Laurie looking to reset and resurrect the fullback position in the NFL. The Eagles are going to add a NFL, since people are worried about banning the tush push. We got something else coming for y'all. So I don't know if it's going to be the fullback tush push or the fullback push or let me just give it to my fullback and then we're going to tush push him through. I don't know what it is, but Jeff Laurie was the other one. So first was Snyder of the Seahawks saying they're looking to find a fullback. They don't even have one. And then the Eagles owner saying he said that May 5th. And so I asked CJ Ham that. I was like, so the fullback is back now? As a joke. He's like, man, I didn't know he went anywhere. And, Aaron Jones kind of talked about it too. He was like, yeah, man, it's kind of funny how, we've had Ham for this long and, people are just realizing the fullback is important. So that's the other storyline I think coming from the Vikings is going to be, figuring out, because you got Mason, you got Aaron Jones now. One, you want Aaron Jones to be healthy to get to the playoffs. This is a playoff team, in my opinion.
Yes. Can
you get Aaron Jones to the finish line like you did Dalvin Cook that year healthy? And I think that's going to be the key. You have to get to it healthy. And Jordan Mason probably is the answer to that. It's going to be 15 carries for each, maybe 15 for him, 10 for Mason, where it's like, look, I can't give you 25 carries because I don't want you to get hurt. Like, I don't want you to be run down. Give you 15, 16 carries. Make it work. I'm going to give you 10, 11, 12 carries. The CJ Ham, you're going to be in here to do some stuff, and so that's the other storyline coming from OTA is that CJ Ham is a fullback, because a lot of times there's nothing for fullbacks to do. Like, they can't hit, they can't bang. Like, they're just out there going through the motions. But again, just a team first guy in town. Let's put this running game together. Jordan. I saw Jordan Mason over there with Aaron Jones. Guys are all trying to be together. So this team really feels like they're all bought into this. And JJ McCarthy being a rookie, I think everybody knows how important their role is, and that's what it felt like being in the building. It felt like everybody knows what their role needs to be when you have a young quarterback like JJ McCarthy. But you know what? We got the Daily 3 coming up. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Wolves. We're going to talk about the Vikings schedule release because, I want to get Sam's take on this too. And then Sam's got a secret question. We changed question 3, so he's got a little secret question for me we're going to add in there. And we'll do that after a quick pause. Well, now it's time for the Daily 3. That's 3 questions. About a minute each. We got time. Like 2 to 3 minutes each today. Let's take it away, Sam.
You got it. Obviously, we talked a lot of Wolves in segment 1. Let me ask you this. If the Wolves beat the Thunder, will they be favored to win the finals against Indiana or New York? And who do you want to play in the finals?
I want to play New York because I want the Cat versus
Yeah.
Julius Randle, DiVincenzo versus the Knicks. I think if they play Indiana, they're favored. I just think they match up better against them. I think what's his name, Tyrese Halliburton. They have a guy. Everybody can guard Tyrese Halliburton on the Timberwolves, except for Rudy Gobert. But you could put Nah out there, you could put DiVincenzo out there, you could put Anthony Edwards on him, you could put Jay McDaniels on him, which I think Jay McDaniels probably gets that assignment because Tyrese Halliburton's a longer extension 3-point shooting guy. Doesn't have the best handles in my opinion, has a weird shooting motion, but it works. The guy's good. Like, as bad as he looks playing the game, like if you've watched him just warm up, you're gonna be like, I'm not picking that guy first. But the guy can shoot, he can score, he can fill up the basket. He knows that too. That's why his dad and Giannis got into it. I think his dad got banned from the games,
correct,
and from the stadium because of that. But that's what happens when you talk trash about somebody's son. But again, it's like, dude, he's a grown-ass man, he's not a kid. But yeah, they talk trash about Tyrese Halliburton because they call him soft, they call him this, they say his jumper's ugly. It is. And so, for them to beat the Bucks, I think that was a big moment for his dad. His dad just, like, you can't antagonize a player. Like, that's disrespectful, because if he swings on you, then he's gonna get sued. And then now your son's going to have to defend you because you're knocked out because of, 6'9", 265-pound Greek god just punched you in the face like Thor with his hammer and knocked you out. But I think the Timberwolves will be favored probably maybe against both. But I don't know. I think the world just wants the Knicks to be number one. Mm-hmm. So I think the Knicks will be favored there. And I think the Timberwolves will be favored. But you know what? No, I think they would be. I'd be thinking, not looking at it, they'll be underdogs against both. I think they would make them underdogs against both.
They wouldn't have home court. Maybe that would swing it to where they would favor the Knicks or the Pacers. But I think the league probably would be most excited to have a Wolves-Knicks final, without question.
Yeah, Indiana Timberwolves just seems boo. I mean, honestly, maybe just because I'm an Anthony Edwards fan, OKC in Indiana seems dumb to me too. Like, give me the Knicks. Give me the Timberwolves. It's the most exciting action out there. DiVincenzo versus Brunson. I mean, it's going to be a fight. It will be a fight.
That's the NBA's darling market in New York. You would have so much national media attention. The first Knicks opportunity to win a title in how many years? It would be epic.
Yeah, Spike Lee would be there. You have the
Chalamet,
Timothy Chalamet with the Kardashians.
Yeah, it'd be good. What was your top takeaway from the Vikings schedule release last week?
7 games on TV when nobody else is playing. That's huge. That's half their schedule pretty much. They're the only game on TV for 7 games. They have 4 true primetime games, and then they got some special games. So, and 2 international games. But yeah, 7 games when they're the only game on TV, whether it's 325, Monday night, Sunday night. They got 7 of those, which means this world really wants to see J.J. McCarthy in this Minnesota Vikings and with Kevin O'Connell. I think Sam Darnold was the stepping stool. So, like, the Pastronaut and Kirk Cousins were like, okay, Kirk Cousins, Kevin O'Connell unlocked something that Mike Zimmer couldn't. The Pastronaut, whoa, Kevin O'Connell made this guy great in 4 weeks. Or 1 week, sorry, 1 to 2 weeks. Then you got Sam Darnold. The Vikings are going to win 7 games. Goes out, wins 14 games. Okay, wait. $100 million? Okay, Kevin O'Connell is a magician. So now I think the world really wants to see, what can this guy do with a first-round pick quarterback of his picking? Yeah. And that's the next step for this. So, yeah, that was the takeaway for me. What about you?
How about this? Between weeks 1 and 8, the Vikings don't play a true road game. They've got 2 at home, weeks 2 and 3. Mm-hmm. They got 2 in Europe, where I think they're going to have a pretty good Vikings crowd.
Oh, yeah.
At minimum, it's neutral site. Bye week in 6, home game in 7. So between weeks 1 and 8, you don't play on the road.
Wow. I haven't looked to see how many teams have a UK Twitter account. I know the Vikings do, and I think the Jags do. But I wonder how many other teams have a UK account.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's an NFL thing where every team has one. But the Vikings UK Twitter and the Jags, because the Jags go over there a lot, but though their Twitter accounts are huge when you think about UK NFL. Like, that the Vikings UK account like retweets everything. They partner with the Vikings when they come over there to do like fan experiences. They get the alumni guys out there. It's huge see those guys out there.
Yeah.
What's the last one? What's the last secret question we changed?
Last secret question. This dropped late yesterday, so we're going to include it in the mix. Vikings have joint practices announced against the New England Patriots in the middle of August before their preseason game. What would be your number one angle to watch in those practices against the Patriots, Ron?
Well, the Vikings don't really have a cornerback like Xavier Rhodes that would fight Stephon Diggs. You know, Byron Murphy, super nice. The rest of these guys, Jeff Okudah and them, don't seem like the guy. Ambry Thomas, you know, being from Detroit, from Martin Luther King High School, I can see Ambry Thomas maybe not caring who Stephon Diggs is and really trying to win that position to be CB2, CB3 for sure. So I can see him maybe pushing on Diggs. Justin Jefferson and Diggs seem like to be like kind of cool. Like they don't really have any bad blood. The Patriots corners don't like, there's nothing about the Patriots. So I think the one angle is just Stephon Diggs back in town. I think fans are excited to see that. You know, he's coming off of an ACL, so who knows if he'll be ready to go then. Like he might not even practice that early in the season because he is coming off an ACL. But for me also though, it was the Texans coming to town as well. You got Danielle Hunter coming back to Minnesota. And again, it's preseason. He's a superstar. Who knows if he even plays in that game. But it's a lot of Minnesota returnees back to Minnesota. Blake Cashman gets his former team to come back into the building as well. But again, I think it's going to come down to his rookie. You got Drake May and JJ McCarthy. And they also, who else do they have? Is it Milton? Do the Patriots also have Milton?
Joe Milton? Did they trade him to I thought they traded him to the Cowboys.
Oh, maybe they did trade him then. But yeah, I mean, Drake May versus JJ McCarthy. It's going to be two young quarterbacks out there. You know, again, I think people want to see, because they were the same draft class, right? Or no, was that a year before?
No, they were. They were.
So Patriots took Drake May over JJ McCarthy. So, you know, who looks better? Who's going to have a better preseason game? Who's going to have a better practice week? So I think that's going to be key to be out there to watch that storyline. The two quarterbacks, both young. Who's going to be the guy?
Take a listen to some of these former Vikings. I'm just looking at the roster now for the Patriots. Former Vikings that I can find. Kyrie's Tonga. Remember him a couple of years ago. Vidarian Lowe, offensive lineman. Tyrese Robinson was an offensive lineman for a little bit. Kicker, Parker Romo is on the Patriots. Jaquelin Roy, the defensive tackle. And the big one, other than Diggs, Garrett Bradbury is their new center. A lot of Vikings connections over there.
And hopefully John Allen and those guys are healthy, Javon Hargrave, so they can make Bradbury's life a living hell and really show us what this front four is going to be like, or front three is going to be like. But I'm Ron Johnson at Sam Ekstrom. Thank you guys for joining us today on the Ron Johnson Show. Stay tuned this summer. We got a lot of good guys lined up. I'm June 4th. I'll be in attendance at the Vikings golf tournament. And so I will be sitting down with some legends, getting some kind of quick reactions on the golf course, having some fun interviews for you to check that out. We're going to video that. I have a little microphone on the course. I'm going to mess around with guys, whether they're putting, whether they're missing, whether John Randall misses a ton. And so that should be a fun event as well. Looking forward to that. So make sure you guys tune in this summer as we start to drop more content with the Minnesota Vikings, the Gophers as well. And again, our partner, YouTube, we thank you. Tegna NBC. Make sure you guys go to Amazon Fire and Roku as well. Download, subscribe. But YouTube, go to YouTube. It's free. Hit subscribe, and then you'll get updates for all of our shows when they drop. I want to thank you guys. Have a great week.